you're spinning, right? And you have all these great moves, and when you showcase it to other spinners, they're only pretty much looking at the moves. They're only looking at that. But when you go to the audience, they just want to be wowed. They want to be fascinated. So you have to take your mindset. You don't have to, but usually you should take your mindset back to when you first begun. Because the moves that you found are fascinating back then are usually the moves that most of the audience likes. They're not necessarily the most technical crowd. They just want to be captivated. It's just like a movie. It's just like a rock band. The best guitarists are not always the ones that are the most famous. Makes sense, right? The best pop singers aren't necessarily the best singers in the world technically, but they look good, they've got a presence, and they create an image that the audience watches and they connect with it. So it's about connection, it's about creating an atmosphere, and that is how you should approach being a performer. So when you start as a performer, you may not have an idea for who you want to be or what you want to be, but I would say a big deal is to really start looking into makeup and costuming and to get a persona, get an idea. Like me, I'm a fire ninja. I mean, I know there's probably a lot more fire ninjas out there, but I have a very specific style, and all of my videos kind of showcase this energy that kind of comes from the gut. It's not anger, but it's this very direct, passionate energy that just kind of punches through, and you know, that's what I sell. Now that's not to say I can't be other things, but that's the number one thing, because if you can create a strong resonance in one area and you shoot it through like a laser, that's kind of usually the way to break down the doors and whatnot. And that's actually, I feel like the fire ninja side of me is what has helped me get into certain companies that have allowed me to do gigs all around the United States. So, and I think it's very important to create presence, not just movement, but presence. And, well, again, we're back to spinning versus performing. But let's just go on. Let's just say you do have a person, and if you don't, grab a piece of paper and write down. Start coming up with ideas. Think of like a movie, like a superhero or an actor. You know, like actors way overemphasize, and movies tend to be over-dramatized way beyond what a normal real life would be. Usually things are a lot more chill, or they're not as intense, usually, and movies over-dramatize things. Well, when you're on stage, it's kind of the same thing. You want to be kind of an exaggeration of something. So find something you love and become an over-exaggeration of that, and create a costume and create a persona around that, and I think that's a good start. Now, of course, you can go further with that, but I'm telling you right now, it's more easy to create an image in someone's mind if you have an idea who you are. The example I can give you is like if you're writing a story. If I was to tell you, hey, write me any story you want, entertain me, make it good, your brain would be like, maybe there's a cow and he, let's see, that's good. Like if you give too many options, there's nothing, right? I mean, just think about it. But the more you fine tune it, the more you have a vision for something specific. So what if I said, give me a story about a one-eyed ninja that is seeking revenge because his love was killed? All of a sudden, you can start just brewing ideas right away, I'm sure. A lot easier than saying, well, tell me a really cool story. Because getting more specific creates the vision, and a vision is actually what I feel you need as a performer is to have a vision, because when a client has something, they want to be entertained, what you do is you listen and you get the ideas for what they're looking for, and you take your vision and you paint it over that to where they harmonize. It's never about you when you're performing professionally or even just trying to break into the market. It's always about them and how you can take whatever your skills and talents are and paint over it so they can get the experience that they want, and you know, you can get paid doing things you love doing. So how do you break into the market? I mean, there's so many different ways, and everyone's going to have their own opinion. So let me just give you a couple ideas that may help you start. One, it's best to be ready before it happens. You can contact your local Renaissance fairs. You can contact local EDM or shows that are happening, but I'll tell you right now, like a lot of these have a lot of fierce competition. A lot of people will be fighting for the bottom dollar with those types of shows because they're the easiest to get into. They require the least amount of work, and because of that, a lot of people that don't know like where to go with performing, they're going to default to going to those types of things. Now, I'm not talking about like nationwide shows, but I just mean like a lot of the local shows that you go is really good for starting out, but you have to be really careful because a lot of people will undercut in that area. And while it's cool and you may still just want to get that experience, what happens later is it gets harder to sell yourself. So if you set yourself at a low bar and you go out and you start selling yourself at this low bar, what happens is it's very difficult to ever go higher with that particular person who hired you. Obviously, I mean, if I'm just like, yeah, dude, I'll do it for $25, and then you do your gig, and then next month you're like, I just realized I'm actually worth 300. What do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, you know what, I'll just get this guy for $30, the other guy, and they'll just hire someone else. So you have to focus on if you want budget or if you want quality. Those are usually the two big ones. If you want budget, you're going to be fighting other people for the least common denominator, but you will have a lot more fun. You'll have a lot more gigs because you're not going to be like priced at a, but you're never going to be priced at a range that will allow you to make a living off of it or even come close. I will say that, but it will be a lot of fun, and you will kind of saturate the market to be a little bit cheaper too. So that type of entertainment goes down for everyone, and it's harder for everyone to make a living doing it. But everyone has their own choices, their own things that they want to do. So when you first start out, though, it still might be healthy or good to get experience doing the smaller gigs first.